Love, blessings, and prosperity to everybody watching. Today I wanted to talk how we could take a holistic approach when dealing with the problem of triglycerides, uric acid, and bad cholesterol. I also wanted to demonstrate as to why, or explain as to why, using a combination of Belize bitters and blood rehab, you can actually get rid or resolve this issue. But before we get into that, we first have to understand, what is triglycerides? Where does it come from? What is uric acid? How does it get produced? Now, a few years ago, I had to learn this because I had a lot of clients that come in and ask, do you have any herbs for triglycerides or uric acid? Yes, there's plenty of herbs that have been clinically proven to help with this issue. But when I ask, do you know what triglycerides are? Do you know what is uric acid, where it comes from? Most people have no clue. Now, I wanted to share what I have found in my investigations when it comes to this. That way we can be on the same page and you can understand why I feel, or I'm sure, that bitters and blood rehab can help us with this problem. Now, in order for me to have understood this, I first had to understand or learn what does the body use as fuel and what happens when we use the incorrect fuel. Now, let's look at a vehicle, right? Let's look at a vehicle like a car. Now, in order for this vehicle to move, it needs fuel, right? So the proper fuel is put in the vehicle. So if it's a gas car, it uses gas as fuel. And then it gets processed, energy is extracted, the vehicle can now move, but then a waste material is produced. Waste material comes out through the exhaust pipe. It is a material that the vehicle cannot use. It is non-beneficial, it takes it out, right? So this is what happens, generally speaking, when you convert energy. Now, the body actually does the same thing. The body uses a fuel called glucose. Now, where does the body get glucose from? Well, let's look at a natural plant, right? Let's look at a fruit. So a fruit has packaged many different things, but generally speaking, it has carbohydrates, fructose, fiber, minerals, antioxidants, protein, and it also has bacteria, which produces an enzyme to help break down the actual fruit. Now, the stomach will try to break this down and convert it into glucose so that it can go into the blood and then to the cells. And this is the cell, right? In the cell is where it gets processed. So obviously, as you can see, there's a lot of conversion happening here, a lot of science, but generally speaking, right, it is processed and converted into energy. ATP is the energy. And one of the waste materials of processing glucose and converting into energy is carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide is a metabolic waste material. The body doesn't need it, it's acidic, it needs to come out. Acid cannot be accumulated in the body. So the body's smart, it takes it out. However, another thing is produced, another waste material called triglycerides. So triglycerides is the product of converting glucose into energy. It's a waste material. VLDL, what is VLDL? That's what they call the bad cholesterol. So as you can see, we produce small amounts of triglycerides and VLDL when we convert glucose. It is natural because when we get it from a natural source, because the fruits come with fiber, antioxidants, and bacteria and enzymes that help break it down, it helps the body eliminate the triglycerides fairly faster and much easier. However, in our culture, right, we use a lot of synthetic or artificial sweeteners, right? So what is that? When you have an artificial sweetener, let's say a sugar, processed sugar, white sugar, brown sugar, this carbohydrates, the fiber, minerals, antioxidant, proteins, bacteria, it's all eliminated. You only get the raw material, the acid. So when we process mainly fructose, it's different. It is a different type of fuel. Now this is what happens when we metabolize fructose. It's a little bit different and more complicated. However, glucose can be processed in the cells and by bacteria. fructose can only be processed in the liver. It can only be broken down by the liver. So it's very stressful on the liver. So when we process fructose, one of the waste materials is uric acid. When we process this in high concentration, one of the waste materials is uric acid. Another waste material is high levels of triglycerides and high levels of bad cholesterol. But we also produce this. This is called a lipid drop. It is a toxin wrapped in fat cells, and it accumulates in the liver. And if this accumulates over time, meaning that we consume fructose day in, day out, we actually have this lipid drop accumulate, and that's what we call fatty liver. And if we continue to do this, it is called cirrhosis. So when we consume too much fructose, if you look at the ingredients, at the many different snacks available to us nowadays, you will see high fructose corn syrup. This is something that we're using much more in our culture. So when we use this, we're using the incorrect fuel, and it is producing too many waste materials. And because we're getting it from a source that does not have any fiber, minerals, or antioxidants, then this becomes an issue, because now triglycerides, uric acid, when it comes out of the body, it comes out and it creates a lot of pollution, a lot of damage along the way, and it creates a lot of problems and accumulation. Now this actually, as you can see, when we're consuming the wrong foods, we're going to consequently get negative results. So when we have bitters, right? Bitters it helps the process of taking out the waste material much more faster, much more efficiently. And it starts to heal the damages done. After the bitters, then we want to take the blood rehab. See, the blood rehab is also now going to enrich the body. It's going to help the body create brand new healthy cells, and it's going to give the body the minerals, the nutrients it needs to have a more healthier bloodline and more healthier organ. The way we do this, right, is when we look at the problem of triglycerides, uric acid, and cholesterol, we first have to take in consideration which fuels are we consuming. Because we might be consuming the wrong fuels. Because remember, food can either be your medicine or it can be your poison. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope this was helpful.